the wireless network, or are you on
Here we go,
cellular?
live.
Oh,
3.
make sure you're on the
Yes.
wireless.
There you go.
Are we live? Yay! Hey Fetch, I am Ellen the dog trainer, your resident dog trainer with a Facebook Live. It's great to be live with you guys. And this month we are celebrating National Dog Training Education Month. And I love that because of the word education that is in the title. It is so important when you are working with your dogs, when you look to hire a professional trainer to help you with your dog, that you find someone who is educated, who continues to educate themselves, and that you do the same. It's not just the simple, well, if they respect me, they'll be good, or if I have calm energy, everything will be okay. There's so much more behind it. It's so cool. So I love that we are talking about and celebrating the education that's behind dog training. So as I've been speaking to you, saying hello to you guys, Skittles has been in a very, very nice stay. So I'm going to ask him to come.
You see Mama?
Skittles, free, come. Good job. Awesome. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for coming over. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. Now, if I really would like to reinforce that behavior, give him a big thank you for coming over to me, I may give him a treat. But as you can see, he did that behavior without a treat. Thank you, buddy. And how I work with Skittles, how I work with all of my clients' dogs, is through positive reinforcement. And what does positive reinforcement mean? It means finding something that the dog finds reinforcing. And for most of our dogs, that happens to be food. And so I use food mostly to train Skittles' new behaviors, or to reinforce those behaviors that I do want. And when we reinforce the behaviors that we do want, we likely see an increase in those behaviors, those desired behaviors. And that is the most humane, really kind of the easiest way to train your dog, to modify behavior with your dog, is to reinforce them using positive reinforcement, finding something that they like, giving them that reinforcement, maybe perhaps in the way of a treat, while they're doing the behavior or immediately after the behavior, and that's going to increase the behavior that you're looking for. So using food, I wanted to give you guys, show you what I might use today. Skittles has already snacked a little bit on that particular treat. A client of mine made these for him for Valentine's Day, obviously. They're homemade doggy treats. So I've got that. I'm going to break that up a little bit. I've got some kibble in there. I've got some soft treats. I've got some crunchy treats. And so what I like to do is I like to make like a doggy trail mix. And then that way Skittles never really knows what I may or may not be giving him. Now, if it was a really tough behavior or a brand new behavior, then I want to make sure that the reinforcement I give him is something of really high value to him. So I may use chicken or cheese or cut up hot dog or turkey because he hardly ever gets that. But it's okay for him to have that. It's in his kibble, right? Most of our dogs do eat some sort of protein in the form of meat, chicken, lamb, beef, bison, or sometimes fish. So I'll use something that's of higher value to him in my reinforcement of behavior that I do want. So that is positive reinforcement. And one of the things, well, let me ask you this. How many out there of you who are watching, how many of you already try and use positive reinforcement when you're working with your dogs? Let me see some likes or some loves. It'd be great to see that from you guys. Awesome, yay. I know a lot of you are out there because you use Fetch, and I know Fetch is dedicated. Their dog walkers and their pet sitters are dedicated to using the most humane methods when they're working with your dog, when they're walking your dog or they're pet sitting your cat or checking in on your hamster. It's all about showing the animals how much we respect them and we appreciate them, and we reinforce those behaviors that we do want using positive reinforcement. So Skittles has been super nice just to hang out here. Let me give you some of that homemade. Now when I give him the treats, they're going to be about that big. That's kind of a big chunk for him. Thanks, buddy. You don't necessarily have to use something that's super big. It's really all about quality as much as it is about quantity. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Watch me. Yes. So you heard me say yes. You guys have heard me use that word before. So if I were going to teach you a new behavior, and the instructions I gave you were, let me see if the instructions that I gave you were Ishne guba luba tuba shnu. Would you have any idea what I wanted? No, you'd have no idea. I don't even know what I want from that, right? And the reason why I give you that example is because for our dogs, sometimes it sounds like that. You guys know I have that saying that dogs read our bodies, not our minds, and they hear our voices, not our thoughts. And I'm sure that's probably true for most species. So think about when you're working with your dog, when you're training your dog, think about what it would be like if they spoke a language that you didn't speak. And how could you communicate to them what it is exactly that you're looking for? So oftentimes we use what's called a marker word when we train our dogs. And the marker word that I like to use is yes or yip, or some of my training partners will use a clicker, which sounds like this. And when we pair that sound, yes or yip or click, when we pair a behavior with that sound and then we follow that up with reinforcement, it helps the dog or the cat or whatever species to better understand what it is we're looking for. Why is that? Because we pair that sound with the behavior that we're doing and following that up with food. Pretty soon they start to go, oh, that sound means I've just done the behavior that mom or dad is looking for, and because I've just done that, I'm going to earn some reinforcement. Got it. So that's how that works. That's how that marker word works. And Erica, I'll be sure to send you a link so you guys can read a little bit more about clicker training or using a reward marker when you are working with your dog. Now let's say you want to hire someone. Let's say you're busy at work, right? You've got your fetch person coming in to dog walk or pet sit. But your dog really needs some help, maybe out there on the leash, or some basic obedience, or whatever that may be. It's really important. Remember, we're celebrating Dog Training Education Month, so it's really important that you guys find a trainer who has some education, who has some credentials even. And Erica is going to post a link to 2 different sites. The first site I want you guys to check out is the Certification Council for Professional Dog Trainers. And everyone listed there has taken a pretty intensive test to certify that they do indeed understand what they're doing when it comes to working with our dogs. Oh, that's a nice down. Thank you. So in dog training, I am capturing a behavior. Skittles offered that nice down for me, and I'm going to reinforce that with a little treat while we do our Facebook Live here. So finding a trainer. There are lots of us out there who use positive reinforcement methods, and you can find us on the ccpdt.org website. There's also another website, the Pet Professional Guild, and those folks are dedicated to using fear-free or force-free methods, and so those are the 2 places I want you guys to check out when you are interested in hiring a professional to help you. All right, so look for that, because we have lots of education that goes into working with dogs. How are you guys doing so far? Yeah, you good? All right, awesome sauce.
And hearts. I can't make hearts.
Tony's helping me out today. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate your assistance behind the camera. So there's a lot of information out there, right? You can Google just about anything these days. And one of the things I wanted to discuss with you guys today is really kind of unraveling some of those training myths that are out there. Thank you, Shuggy. The first one well, I'm just going to start at the top. So if I wanted Skittles to, let's see, I want to give you guys a good example, a good demonstration. So if I wanted Skittles to do something and I was just telling him no, in fact, you know what? Have you guys ever played the hot-cold game as kids? You know, if you're moving towards something, you're getting hotter, 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 right? or if you're moving farther away, you're getting cold, cold, cold. Think about that game when you're working with your animals, when you're working with your dog. Because if you are just telling your dog no, or if you live with somebody, a roommate, or you've got, a husband or a wife or a partner or siblings, play the game and trying to get them to do something and just tell them no. No, no, no. It feels really icky and the person has no idea what it is you're looking for. So if I said to Skittles, gobbledygook, ishneabuku, he's like, what are you talking about, Mom? No, 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 no. I mean, he's like, no to what? No to looking at that, no to thinking about it, no to smelling. If you have a dog that jumps on you and you're like, no, and you knee them or you push them off or you do anything like that, no to what? No to jumping on you, or no to licking you, or no to being excited, or no to barking, or no to smelling you. No to what? There's a long list of no's of what that answer could be. But when you tell them yes, what is it that you do want? Yes, I want you to sit there and not jump and be calm. Then that helps to train our dogs. It helps them to know what it is that we do want. So one of my first, I guess myths to demystify here is that when you use correction, when you are correcting a behavior, when you wait to correct a behavior, you have missed the opportunity to reinforce the behavior that you do want. It is sprinkling.
We need the water. Keep going. You're good.
We do need the water. We do. So, so don't wait to correct your animals. All right. Think about what is it that I do want my dog to do, and then work from that place. And mostly when dogs are jumping, they're not being. It's rude behavior to us, but it's usually a very social greeting to them, and they just haven't learned how you do want them to greet. The next kind of demystifying thing that I wanted to go over is the guilty look. So that's become a very, very popular thing on Facebook, right? The dog's wearing a sign like, I ate Dad's hat. Yep. Did you see Skittles when I said yep, he looked at me? Yep. Good. So that guilty look. There's proven research now that the dog is not looking guilty because of an act that they may have done 15 minutes ago or while you were at work. They don't think that. They look guilty because they are responding to how you look to them. And they're afraid of that because usually maybe you're mad or you're cowering over them or you're staring at them and the dog is like, whoa, holy cow, Dad is really mad or Mom is really upset with me. They can't go back in time and pair what you're doing right then in that moment with the fact that maybe they piddled while you were gone. And in fact, here's a little training tip for you. If you are trying to teach your dog to go potty outside, rubbing their nose in it they have no idea why you're doing that. It's just going to make them afraid. And what ends up happening then is they may go find a place to go potty where you can't see, or maybe while you're at work when they can't get caught in the act because they're afraid of being punished. But they can't necessarily make that correlation of, oh, because I pottied on the carpet, 30 minutes ago, that's what I'm getting punished for. They don't think that way. So think in the moment and how your body language, remember dogs read our bodies, not our minds, what your body language might be telling them. All right, so that guilty look. You guys are going to read a little bit more about that, all right? The next thing that I wanted you to know about is you've seen me use treats. You're watching me use treats right now, right? Because I want Skittles to stay put here during our Facebook Live, and he could go explore, the yard. He could sniff. He could go in the house. He could move. But the fact that he's staying put during our Facebook Live is a very nice behavior that I want to reinforce. I want to build duration. Yep. But I wouldn't necessarily always have to use treats. So remember when he came into the screen, when I said Skittles come, I didn't treat automatically. If I ask for a touch. Yes, thank you. Awesome. Now I said yes, so I'm going to treat because I like to keep that word yes really strong. But if I ask for it again, yep. No, I'm so conditioned to saying yep. Thank you, sir. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I may give him some lovin' if he wants to be pet, or maybe I'll give him a ball, or I'll give him something else. You will slowly fade out using treats. You will not have to use treats for the rest of your dog's training life. Now, I do encourage using treats always when you're asking for a recall or that COME, because I think that that's really super important. But you will not always have to use food as reinforcement for behaviors. Okay, but do use it in the beginning. Why not? Why not pay them for learning something new, for doing something that's important to us, but they could kind of really care less about doing. All right? So you'll be able to fade out those treats. You also may think like, well, they're just stubborn. I know I hear that a lot. And all that means is that the dog just doesn't quite understand what it is you do want them to do. Or maybe it's more reinforcing to, chase after that squirrel than it is to come inside and go inside their crate. So think about what's more reinforcing to the dog and how can you up your ante to make it kind of worth their while or just simply more reinforcing to do that behavior. But when you say your dog is stubborn, it's because you have to take a look at yourself and you have to think about how can I better explain to them what it is exactly that I want them to do. All right, there's no such thing as a stubborn dog. It's just one that doesn't know what you want them to do. All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about was some of the equipment that's out there, and this falls into using punishment to try and train your dog. All right. So some of you may know somebody, or you may yourself be using a shock collar or a prong collar, and that falls into a punishment category. And when we use punishment to train our dogs, it's how can I put this? The fallout can be so detrimental to your relationship that it's harder to train using punishment methods, and it hurts. It just flat out hurts the dogs. So the prong collars, a lot of people say, oh, it's like when the mama dog puts her teeth on the puppies to correct the puppies. No, a prong collar has very sharp points, and it goes into a very vulnerable part of their neck, and it does so usually when a dog may see another dog or see another person. And what ends up happening is they start to develop an association that is not a good one. They think, oh, if I look at that person and I get pain around my neck or I get shocked around my neck, find it. If that happens, then me looking at that person or that other dog is making pain happen around my neck. And so you start to get this terrible association. So I would like to encourage all of you, if you are currently using that piece of equipment, Erica's going to post a link for me that talks a little bit more about some good top 10 tips on why it's best not to use a prong collar or a shock collar. That was kind of hard for me to say to you guys, because I want to be so sensitive to, or I am sensitive. I don't want to be. I am sensitive to you and your pets and the relationship that you have with your dog. And I know a lot of folks out there feel, they feel like that's the only way that they can walk their dog. But there are other ways, and you can find out those other ways by finding a certified professional dog trainer to help you use methods that are positive reinforcement methods, so that your dog understands what it is that you do want. How is that for wrapping that all together? All right, guys, you have been such a great audience as always. I'm so glad to be with you here this month as we celebrate Dog Training Education Month. I think I got that right. I hope I got that right. If you have any questions, please post them. I'll look for them after this Facebook Live. I know we put the recording up so you can watch it later. Erica may even put some on my website. So again, if you have any questions, just shoot them my way. I'll do my best to answer them. And I appreciate you joining me today. And we will see you next month, Fetch. I am Ellen, the dog trainer, your resident dog trainer. Happy training!